What is up, everybody? Welcome back to After Dark. Another week, another set of discussion, I guess. I don't know what you call this. Whatever we do. My name is Aaron Knoll. I'm the host of the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we are back with all the latest in the world of movie news, as well as a discussion about the premiere of the latest major MCU show, Loki, which will happen in just a little bit. I have a couple of panelists with me to kind of kick this off and get it going. And first, I feel like it would be remiss but to intro him first. After being away for a couple of weeks due to personal reasons, check his Facebook timeline for more details. Mr. Nicky Sullivan rejoins us on the show. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's interesting. I mean, things have gotten really timey-wimey here, and I just realized I didn't install the proper driver for the soundboard, and I have to do it old-fashioned. Yes, thank you, Dr. Strange. I care a lot.
All right, also joining us, Mr. Matt Beer.
Hey guys, how you doing? How you doing, Donald? No, we're not going to do that today. But no, I'm doing good.
Everybody playing soundbite through their mic?
Yeah, look, man. It's my phone. My mic is just really powerful. It can catch that stuff.
We couldn't hear
it. You couldn't hear?
No.
Donald, I couldn't hear you. How you doing, Donald?
Hear it again.
No, he's going to come.
Wrong
but
show,
anyway,
Matt. Wrong show.
Anyway, doing good. E3 started today, which was cool and all. Not a whole lot of worthy things in E3, but we are getting a Mario Rabbids game on the Nintendo Switch Pro. I mean, the Nintendo Switch. And we're getting a James Cameron Avatar game, too, next year. So it's all cool. And that's going to come out before the movie.
Well, that's a bunch of video game announcements. I forgot E3 was this week. So that's why there's a bunch of video game announcements.
Tomorrow's going to be the better
so
day.
That makes more sense.
It's Xbox tomorrow.
What's tomorrow?
Xbox, Square Enix, a bunch of other Sega.
Xbox
Gotcha.
used to be my girlfriend, and I called it Box, but now it's an Xbox because I went to PC gaming.
We're getting Starfield because of Bethesda. It's cool stuff.
And also joining us on the show, Mr. Malcolm Lay. Malcolm, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good.
Was Malcolm also trying to get in on the bit? What's that?
Yeah, I'm trying to get on the bit. I don't know if it worked perfectly because I don't actually have a proper soundboard, but doing good. And we'll probably get the Avatar game before the movies even start coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. James
Joe
Cameron
Biden
has
eating
probably
some
halted
chocolate.
fucking James Cameron has probably halted production on the films in order to work on the game himself. Like, that's where we're at that point with those movies.
Look, we got an Avatar ride first.
They built a
before
damn
the movie.
theme park. Thank you. They built a damn theme park before they could get a sequel.
Yeah, before the movie.
Anyway,
deserve
Disney, they're still building a Ratatouille ride. Like, how in the hell did that happen?
I don't know why
a
slightly above average movie got a ride.
It's a
because
good
of Disney,
movie.
anything that makes money. All right, guys. So before we go into our first topic, there was one audible that was worth mentioning that came out after I put the show notes together. It won't be a long discussion. It's not like we can go too deep on this, but it is worth bringing up that James Wan, at the beginning of the weekend on Friday, revealed the title for the upcoming sequel to Aquaman. And I'll go ahead and pull that up on screen for you guys. So it is Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. That's directly from his Instagram. That is the title of the film. It looks to be, for the moment, yes. Now, kind of like what Marvel tends to do, they may adjust it slightly. I know like Marvel recently, when they released their trailer for their come to the movies thing, Marvel adjusted some of the fonts on their titles and they adjusted how they look a little bit. But for the moment, this is our logo, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Before we go, I'll go to Nicky first. Before I do, we had one more member join, so I'll bring him in. Kind of like with Malcolm, as I said, we had a couple of people who joined as recurring panelists to give us a little more variety on the show from week to week. So we are joined by Mr. Sean Hunter, returning to the show whenever his camera shows up. There he is.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing quite
so. Nicky, you're back for the first time in a while. I'll jump to you first. What are your thoughts on our official title, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom?
Yeah, I mean, the I thought the Lost Kingdom was Atlantis, and I mean they found it. They found it in the last movie. I mean he swam down to Atlantis, so I don't know what the Lost Kingdom could be. Could it be Jurassic Park? Jurassic. They've just combined two Jurassic Park sequels. The Lost World and Fallen Kingdom are now the Lost Kingdom. Not very original. I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't a huge fan of the first Aquaman movie. I thought there were two movies that were smushed together there, and it's not even that I didn't like one of the movies. It's just one of those movies which was the Aquaman versus Black Manta stuff that I really liked. I thought that was a much better movie than Aquaman versus Patrick Wilson underwater. It doesn't really bode well for Aquaman when people leave the theater saying, you know what, I like the movie, but when they were underwater, it wasn't for me. Weird crab men screaming at weird green men, like it was just weird. That movie was weird. I like Jason Momoa. I like Tamara Morrison. I like Nicole Kidman. Not sure how much of that cast is coming back. I'm pretty sure there's actor that's not coming back, but we won't mention her. It's not a great Bond.
I was actually just pulling that up. So as of now, and some of these aren't confirmed. This is just based off everything that's been reported. As of now, the only new actor that's been added was, as we previously said, Game of Thrones actor Pilu Asbæk. Said what role he is playing, and then returning actors for the moment. Obviously, depending on how you feel personally, you can dislike one of these. But Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Patrick Wilson, Dolph Lundgren, and Tamara Morrison are all returning.
Yeah, nice. And you can manage the chaos of customer support.
So the only major actor not returning for the moment seems to be Nicole Kidman.
Wow.
So, anyone else have any thoughts on the title before we go ahead and move it on? Malcolm, Sean, Matt?
I mean, it's a title. Looking
at it gives it more weight.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones that it's fine. It doesn't tell me anything about the movie.
True. I also like that, in case you ever doubted it, James Wan does have the title card of director next to it. Like he's that's like a nameplate. Like if you're a stand-in, like you're a temp positions, they give you just one of those full paper nameplates. I don't know what that is about, but yeah. In case you didn't know that James Wan's Instagram was owned by James Wan, there you go.
Yeah, it's like the high school locker room. Like they put the tape on it, and then they just put tape over it. And then there's some dickhead like John Walker that goes to visit his high school, and he just peels the tape off, and then QB12 winds up at school the next day. It's like, where the hell's my locker? Why does it say Jay Walker on it? What the hell?
Right. I have no thoughts on the title, but fun fact, I just ordered Mario and Rabbids on Amazon. Wow. I just ordered that today on the Nintendo Switch.
Like the old Rabbit game?
Yeah, it's Mario Rabbids. The first one's great, and it's going to be on the Nintendo Switch Pro. I mean, the Nintendo Switch.
Are we going to look at the title all day, or?
No. I was about to pull it off and move on to the next thing. I can if you want. I'll bring it up.
It was just weird. Like it was just looking at. It's like, wow, this is riveting.
So let's go ahead and get into it. The first topic of the show will be the discussion topic, which is Loki, the anticipated Marvel Cinematic Universe show premiered this week. It is notable that it is the first major plus show to premiere on Wednesday. But this week, Loki premiered. The series stars Tom Hiddleston as fan favorite Loki, following his timeline-breaking escape in Avengers Endgame. Immediately following that escape, he is apprehended by the Time Variance Authority and finds himself opposite the TVA, which includes co-stars Gugu Mbatha-Raw and standout Owen Wilson as Mobius and Mobius, as he seeks to find his, as the episode was titled, glorious purpose. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Obviously, a lot of people looking forward to this show. Loki is one of those fan favorite characters that has gone over with a lot of people. I'll start it off just because I'm one of the few people that was kind of the opposite. I myself was not really looking forward to this. In saying that, it should also be worth noting that Marvel is one of the few franchises that's earned of the doubt on everything for all the fun debates Nick and I have had about the multiverse. Kevin Feige is still the person that could change my mind on it. But I just, as somebody who is more of a film truist than a comic truist, I actually like where Loki's arc went, and I thought that his death did serve, pun not intended, glorious purpose. So the fact that they have kind of gone back on that and have basically taken a version of the character where his character development has been scrapped and are attempting to basically redo it just through a different way, it just kind of struck me as a really weird concept. Overall, the episode, I thought it was fine. Out of if I were to score it out of 10, I'd give it a 6. I think it's one of the weaker things that they've done through Disney Plus. Now, obviously, it's a premiere episode, and I'm not going to judge the whole show on one episode, but to me, it didn't really get interesting until the last 15 minutes of it, and I thought that's when it really, really picked up. Other than that, the standout to me is Owen Wilson. I thought he was entertaining the entire time through. I really like what they're doing with his character. So aside from that, that's what worked for me. But overall, the episode was fine. It's just not a lot to go on. The entire episode is briefly explaining new concepts or just referencing or showing us things that have already happened. It'd be a very bad first watch for somebody who's never seen the MCU. That's what I'll say. So I'll go ahead and open up the floor to one of you guys, whoever wants to step up and go first. What were your guys' kind of general thoughts on the Loki premiere?
I thought it was, I think, the best pilot out of the 3 Marvel shows on Disney Plus. I really enjoyed it, and I really love Tom Hiddleston in the role. I think he's just as good as Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Those two guys, I know it's when he's in a Thor movie, it's about Thor, but he's just as equal. He's just as charismatic, just as cool as a character. So I really like the concept of this show. There was a lot of exposition in the show. There was a lot of getting you up to speed if you weren't familiar with the MCU movies and stuff like that. But overall, I really liked it. I guess the part I didn't enjoy that much was just the maybe the 5 minutes of Loki watching the rest of his life and how he died, and suddenly that changes his current self into, I think I'll become a better person now.
It's a catch up, yeah.
But so that was kind of, but I guess it had to happen. Maybe he hasn't fully changed as the series goes on. Maybe he still retains some of his mischievousness.
Mischievousness.
Yeah.
Either way.
So, but no, I enjoy it, and I think I like all the ideas and concepts in it.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and just in case people can't read down below spoilers for the show,
I was going to say, Malcolm, I'll let you go after this because I see you keep getting ready. Go ahead.
I mean, Malcolm can go. I would just point that out. I'll let Malcolm go, and if
it does say spoilers. If you haven't seen this, put it on mute. Come back in 20 minutes, maybe, or be warned. But all right, yeah. If you want to let Malcolm, go ahead.
Yeah.
I really love this show. To me, there wasn't any down parts of it. I figured that the first episode of this, with the way that it was sort of showed in the trailer that what the show was going to be, I figured that the first one will be giving this alternate Loki a look at what happened in the main timeline as a thing. So I figured it was going to go that way, at least for the first episode anyway. But I loved all of this. I loved the whole moment, which always brought me back to the online forums. Is click this box if you're a robot. How do you know if you're how do robots know they're robots? It's just one of those moments. It's it always made me feel those forums.
That was a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, Nikki, initial thoughts. Who wants to take it up first? I think that's the signal.
You talk first. I talk first.
Who talks first? You talk first. I talk first.
You talk first.
I swear to God,
I'll show you the dark side. All right, yeah. So time to show you guys the dark side. I was honestly, I liked it watching it the first time through. I'm one of those people that watches this 8 times before we do these watch along reviews, the things that we talk about on here. I'll get into some of the things that I like first. I think that Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson carry the show. Especially like just talking about this first episode since it's the only one we've seen. But they definitely carried the episode. I think lesser actors would have had a harder time with this writing. There's a lot of things that I don't like about it. Like I like the characters. I like Owen Wilson. I like the Mobius, I think his name is.
Yes.
I like the reference to the Mobius strip. I think that's pretty cool. The aesthetic, I don't like. I don't like the whole entire like office space aesthetic of it. It was a joke, and it was one of those jokes that I just don't think is very funny. So that's where like my downside is of this is every time they kind of went for comedy in this episode, I'm just kind of sitting there cringing like that's not very funny to me. One of my biggest disappointments from the trailer, and this is kind of like one of those managed expectations things, I usually don't get disappointed, but I felt like they played up in the trailer that the way that the trailer was edited kind of made it seem like the spoiler that the DB Cooper thing was more like something that he has to do during the show and less of, we're just watching a home video of Loki. And they showed the entire sequence in the trailer, which that was kind of like one of my biggest draws for the show. Like, oh, Loki's going to be DB Cooper. That's kind of cool. I liked him watching the reaction, like to him watching like his life, because it kind of gave him 3 movies of character growth in 5 minutes, so that we can kind of believe that this is the Loki. It's not the Loki that we know, but he's kind of is, because he's had the same growth. Like he's watched it. He watched the Marvels movie, so he's as invested in it as we are at this point. But yeah, I'll like save my judgments overall for like the end of the series, just because I do think these are shot as full movies, but I just have some like concerns. And also, I think the whole thing is a trick. Like, I don't think that the Time Bureau or Time Variance Authority, I think it's all just Loki or Mephisto. Hey, guys, Mephisto, we said it, Mephisto, hey. They point to a devil in the picture. And they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. If they didn't want people to say that, they could have easily cut that scene out of the show. They want us to speculate about Mephisto. But yeah, looking forward to it. It was definitely good. And I think I'd be remiss to mention that we talked about this a few weeks ago about the Wednesday release, and we were speculating whether Disney Plus would go to other days of the week since they're doing the week-to-week format. And I think it just speaks to how good Bad Batch is done, because Bad Batch premieres, and they immediately moved Loki to Wednesday. So that's pretty great that like an animated show is getting front and center on Fridays on Disney Plus. So it's pretty cool.
They did actually address that fact. That was one of the things that came up after the announcement originally happened. Was one of the reasons they did it is in an attempt, and I think we may have brought it up on the show at some point, but it was in an attempt to vary the release schedule a little bit, because basically, at least according to internal sources, Disney kind of ranks their shows by like A-list and B-list. They already have 1 or 2 B-list shows that are airing on Friday. Like, I think that Stamos show is still going. The Mighty Duck show ended this week, I think, so the last episode still went up on Friday. And then they have 2 A-list shows going, which are The Bad Batch, and For the Sake of You, High School Musical is considered an A-list show. And both of those shows will air during the entirety of Loki's run, because they're 16 and 12 episodes respectively. So I think it was a case of like, we have a 6-week show. We don't want 3 A-list competing shows airing on the same day. So this is our best shot to see if we go to premieres on other days. So
I think it's smarter with the week-to-week release too. Like if it was all releasing on one day, I'd say like doing it both on Friday wouldn't be a problem, because they wouldn't release it on the same Friday. They just wouldn't do that. But as it goes further, I'm wondering if they're going to keep this. And I think them moving it to Wednesday shows what their plans long-term is. I think it's going to be more of this week-to-week stuff and not as much. I don't think they're going to drop like an entire season of one of these Marvel shows, because it is profitable for them. If all somebody cares about is Loki, they're going to subscribe for 6 weeks, and that's going to get them 2 months of subscription for Disney Plus. So I think it's smart for them. It's just a little hard for us, especially when every single one of these episodes for all these Marvel shows are directed and produced by the same people, which is very rare on television shows. I don't know if people know. They don't have the same director throughout an entire season on most television shows.
No.
Like it's extremely rare. You get maybe like some like the prestige like television shows on other networks, but they're doing that with Kenobi as well. But with like something like The Mandalorian, they had different directors every week, different visions coming in there. That show fits that format a little bit more, a much more episodic feel. These Marvel ones, these are just really long movies.
In fact, well, I was going to say, I'll let you go in a sec, Matt. I was going to say, this one director doing the whole thing is actually something that's recent. As far as I can remember, the first big project that actually did it was True Detective with Cary Fukunaga, where he directed all episodes of that show's first season. And since then, a few shows have tried it. I believe... I want to say his name is John Mark Vallée, did all the episodes of Big Little Lies for HBO, and the shows like that have tried it, where that's kind of just like an extended drama film. Like they're doing that type of thing.
Did Fargo have the same director the whole season?
I don't believe so. No, I can check for you.
I don't know.
That's one of those shows that I think I feel like it would, but
I will fact check. But I want to also intro for the moment our sixth panelist joining us on the show. He is Mr. Alan Shepard joining us on panel. And while I look up Nikki's fact, either Matt or Alan, go ahead and give your initial thoughts on Loki.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Matt, you want to go ahead and go first?
Sure. I can do that.
Shoot.
So I, real quick with the release day, I also think Black Widow plays a part of it because you don't want Marvel shows to be on the same week or day as movies. Even though some people will see it on Thursday.
That actually is true because he had released an episode of Mando early when it was combined with Rise of Skywalker.
Right, and then I just think they were going to do that initially, kind of like what they did with Mando and Skywalker, and they were like, you know what, screw it, we got a few shows on Fridays anyway. Hello, neighbor. And they're like, you know what, we'll just go Wednesdays full time. So I also agree with Sean. This is my favorite pilot of the show so far. I liked all the pilots. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, was just like an intro, pretty slow. It was nothing that made me go, oh, that was
a
cool.
great action sequence though.
Like there's some great action, but there was like no like event that made me go, whoa, okay, that kind of makes you think a little bit about the MCU in general. Loki had that, of course, with the Infinity Stones, and I know some people had an issue with the Infinity Stones, but look, in the comics and in the movie too, if you take something out of its place, it's pretty much useless. And once you take something out of the timeline for the movie anyway, if you take something out of that timeline, put into another, not only is it useless in a completely different timeline, but it spans and creates a brand new timeline.
Then how did Hulk snap?
Because it's in the same timeline.
It's not the same timeline.
It is. They time travel.
Here's the thing: people don't understand this. And I'm not. It's not a debate or an argument or anything. I just like to introduce people the concept of the because I think you're right. I think you're right that it is the same timeline. It's just, but a lot of people are saying that it's a diverging timeline because they don't understand the concept of the bus stop. So a bus stop, when it comes to time travel, it's when you have the timeline, and then what happens is somebody goes back in time. They divert a little bit, but then it falls back onto the same timeline, and then you color in that spot so that it looks like a straight line. So I'm agreeing with you. I've just heard a lot of people say that, and even the creators of the movies can't agree on whether it's the same timeline or a different timeline.
Well,
see, this is why Back to the Future is the best time travel movie. So this is why Back to the Future is the time travel movie, because as long as you don't kill your mom, everything's good. It's that simple. Just don't go after your mom. Everything's cool.
So Loki must have fucked Frigga, is what you're saying.
Loki fucked Anyway, to get back into it,
absolutely,
with this whole timeline thing. As soon in game, for example, as soon as they took the stone out of place, it created a brand new timeline. But once you put the stone back in, the timeline that spans off, it goes away. It's the exact same timeline. That's why the TVA never got involved. So That's what it is.
Which
But
I-
in the
which I-
comics,
I will say, I kind of hope at some point they do actually give an explanation, because that was one of my actual criticisms of the episode.
Yes,
I think,
and I
I
think
think
that's
the
hinting at
concept-
something else.
I think the
What if
concept
Captain
of the
America is the one that started the TVA? Because
I
like
think the
an Avenger would think that they were supposed. That's not
Okay.
how it was supposed to happen. Because that's not like when they planned out the mission. That's not what it was supposed to happen. They said that in the movie. That wasn't supposed to happen.
well, so
no, they said in
well,
the show
damn
that
it, let me
that was what
get it.
was supposed to
my
happen.
my point of what I'm saying though is I hope that Marvel actually answers this, because the problem is I one of my issues with it is I think the concept of a TA could be interesting, but to me it kind of seemed like their reasoning to explain things was reasons, like the fact that they wrote off the TVA is like, oh well, everything happens because the TVA says it was supposed to happen, and their way of getting around it is like Loki calls bullshit on it, and then they're like, but the TVA said you were supposed to do that, so and it's like the writers trying to play tricks of like, oh, this is how we'll get away with saying this, but without actually truly explaining it. And I hope that at some point they do really explain it,
I
because
think
I
it
don't
is more than that.
think it's sacrifice.
Yeah, I think it's some sort of self-righteous entity. Maybe even like a Captain America, because we know he's time travel. And what I'm saying is, when I said that that's not supposed to happen, I meant Loki taking the Tesseract. Like that's not what was supposed to happen. Because as soon as it happens, Tony or Scott, one of them says that wasn't supposed to happen. So maybe it's Scott Lang. Maybe Scott Lang started the TVA in the future. Like he just went through the quantum realm and then found the future and like started this time organization. But I do think there's someone, either it's Loki or Captain America. I don't believe in these timekeepers. Like there's something.
I don't buy them saying Loki taking a Tesseract that wasn't supposed to happen, because Cap and Tony still went back to the 70s. So clearly that was supposed to happen, them going back again.
Right.
So I just think no one knows how to handle time travel in the show.
Who's to determine what's supposed to happen? I mean, if you're looking at it through like quantum physics, if you view time as a solid object, everything that happens is supposed to happen because it happened.
So the person who decides what's going to happen is Kang. Okay, Kang the Conqueror.
Ooh.
To get back to it though, and I think you might get a little reference to Kang in the show towards the end. I think you might get a little sneak peek of that. But anyway, I think Scott says that wasn't supposed to happen because the plan was to get the. I don't think it was because he created the TVA, and the TVA was
I think you're reading a little too deep.
Anyway,
maybe
so,
or maybe it's all.
But anyway, to get back to it, and then like I said, I saw some criticism about the Infinity Stones, where it's like, well, the Infinity Stones are useless. Well, no, not really, because once you take them out of your timeline and you put them in a completely different timeline, or to explain in DC, because it might be easier to explain that, once you take it to a different Earth, like you go from Earth 1 to Earth 2, once you take it to a completely different Earth, it's completely useless in that area. It's only useful in their respective timeline where they came from. That's why in the comic books, when Darkseid has the Infinity Gauntlet with all the Infinity Stones in the DC Marvel crossover, he can't use the gauntlet because they're in a different timeline. So that I thought the Infinity Stones, it was a nice little hey, pointing to the comic, like, you know what, that's for you. So it was, I think it was just a fun little gag that people are taking a little too serious, but it's not. But anyway, I really did like the episode though. I did really like the Loki watching his memories and all that stuff too, because just to see the emotion just from Tom Hiddleston, just his acting performance in that scene alone really sold it, and it really was powerful. And it's like, oh, because obviously at that point doesn't like his brother at all, only cares for his mother. He sees everything, and like he goes, oh wow, okay, this is what's going to happen, or what was supposed to happen. And I have a little prediction that at the very end of the series, whether it's this season or if they do more seasons, they're going to reset Loki, and he's going to go back in the exact same point. And
I also think something like that will happen.
Yeah, so because I think if they just let him be and let him go around doing his normal thing, then it gets a little convoluted, and it gets a little confusing. It's like, well, it's just kind of, it's pointless at that point. So I do think just to make it easier for the writers and whatnot, they're just going to reset them, and the show might literally end with that scene playing out or whatever, and maybe it like loops or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever Kang decides is supposed to happen.
So you think the Timekeeper is Kang?
I think he's one of them.
Okay.
Whether
So
he's the main guy, I think
I've
he's
drawn a
one
little
of them.
diagram here. So,
I thought that
I
was
wish
like
I
a
had a
still
whiteboard
from
because
the.
I put
I
a
thought
lot
that
of
was a
thought
still
into
from the Eternals trailer,
it. So
but I could
we
tell.
have,
Oh, it
we have
kind
the
of
line.
is.
So
I
there's
see
the
two
line.
mountains and a road.
These mountains here,
Yeah.
that's where the Avengers put the stone back. There's a little bit of a divergence there. It's not a straight line. That's another thing you can look at in the show. It's not a fully straight line. There's a little bit of wiggly wobbly in there, which means there have been changes that they have accepted.
Yeah.
And then like if you look at it, there's this big red line that says once they get to that point, it says multiverse. So once the timelines go all out of whack, they do get a multiverse situation. Now, this line right here that doesn't conform back to
JJ level glare.
that one, that's the one that's Loki, because that's the one that they could not put back. So Steve, when he goes back to put the Space Stone back, the Tesseract back, and he goes back to S.H.I.E.L.D., he puts that back. That's fine. He goes back to give the Time Stone back to the Ancient One. He goes back to give the Mind Stone back, put that back in the Scepter, put that back in place. Those are bus stops. The variance is the one that does not resolve itself. That's Loki. That's our Loki on this show.
Yeah.
So, thought of something really quick. Actually, gonna change my prediction. I don't think the show ends with Loki being reset. I think it's going to end with Kang because of all the changes that are starting to happen in the timelines. That's not supposed to happen. Kang is supposed to make sure things stay normal, all that stuff. This is going to actually set up Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 with Kang, because Kang is an Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Before we keep speculating,
Kang want things to be normal or chaotic, though?
The head writer has been doing a lot of press in the past couple of days, and he has said in an interview that Kang will not be in this series. Kang will only be in the Ant-Man film.
Wow.
And he also said the Portrait of the Devil was not to make people speculate about Mephisto.
I hate
but
that.
it was just like a call on Loki because they both have horns and stuff like that. And that Loki was filmed. This show was filmed before WandaVision, so he said Mephisto will also not be in this series as well. And I think Marvel has learned from all the speculation about WandaVision, and I think now they're just going to say what's not in this show because they don't want that.
I hate that. I hate that because WandaVision, the speculation, I think that was the funnest part of that show. Just because some people got butthurt that their theories didn't come true. Like, I don't think that's a reason to stop doing that because these shows are clearly like set up and edited to make you speculate. They would not be releasing them week to week if they didn't want you to talk about it.
Unfortunately,
so I just hate them shooting down things like that. It's a shame.
As we've learned, butthurt people are the loudest. Have we not seen how the Snyderverse community has gone recently?
But you can ignore them.
So
you can just ignore them.
But that's the problem. Is it's hard when you have studios with social media managers and all that shit to ignore the people. Matt, I see you like a school child who has to pee down there. So,
Kang may not be in the show, but he could be in the post-credits scene for the last episode.
Or it could be like the comic books where he's
he's
Iron
technically
Lad
not in the show,
Kang.
but like maybe you hint towards Ant-Man and the Wasp with that.
all right, so we're gonna start to wrap this up in a few minutes. But Dr. Face,
We need to get
man,
Alan's
you joined
thoughts
in
too.
and haven't had a chance to speak yet. So go ahead and give your initial thoughts on.
Are we
the show.
gonna see dinosaurs in
And
this show?
Malcolm's freaking out too, so we should let Malcolm say his thing.
Malcolm. We gotta
Bounce
get Malcolm
around
in
for
this.
one or two more.
Got you. So first of all, aloha to Sean. I haven't met you yet, so aloha, sir. Good to see you. Nikki, great to see you again. And Malcolm, of course, as always. Now, I really enjoyed Loki. I think my favorite of the three, pilot-wise, was still Falcon and Winter Soldier, because that's two characters I just love, without a doubt. I love Sam Wilson. Always have, always will. And I love Bucky. Now, the rest of the show, I wasn't that hype on. So I'm hoping Loki pulls out, a longer, better run consistently. I really enjoyed the first thing we got. I thought it lagged a little bit. And I was a little disappointed. The only other character I was intrigued with was Owen Wilson's
Mobius.
and the little cartoon thing that Tara Strong apparently did. Yeah, I like that one. I like that. I thought it was really cute. I like the aesthetic of it all. It reminded me of the John Wick, thing with all the old retro technology and that kind of stuff. I really appreciated that. It kept my interest, and of course, Tom Hiddleston's Loki is one of the greatest characters ever created. So I'm really interested to see what happens afterwards or next, and I'll be definitely tuned in to the next week and week to week from here on out. Predictions, I never like to make predictions because they're going to do what they want, and if my predictions don't get involved, I'll be upset and cry. No,
well, apparently, if you predict it wrong, they'll tell you. Well,
that's true. They'll tell you. They'll let me know.
Oh,
they'll let me know.
There is a reference, like with the whole Mephisto thing, as Nikki pointed out. They mentioned the name Peter in it. It's not Peter Parker. It's Peter from Deadpool 2. Deadpool, the movies are officially going to be canon. We're going to see Peter from the Deadpool movies
when did they say Peter?
Loki. At some point, I don't remember exactly when, but Loki's
what
like,
I really
Peter.
think, though, is
You
that
can have Peter out later. Malcolm.
And they hint at it at the beginning of the show. I think it's more of like less a Marvel cinematic thing, like less of a Marvel comics thing, and more of just like a context clues thing. When they do the investigation in the church, they say that the stab wounds were consistent with the other times he attacked. And then the second thing that they say was that it looks like they were taken by surprise, and then right after that happens, a little girl walks in the room. So what I think is definitely going to happen, this may not be what's controlling it, but a comic book thing is that Loki reincarnates. Sometimes he reincarnates as a woman, sometimes he reincarnates as a little kid. I think we're going to see both of those because it was a female little girl that walked in the room in the next scene. And we also saw in his file, it said sex or gender fluid. So they're definitely setting the groundwork for Loki to change form in this show, and maybe other variants. Right. That's why I think another thing, like probably not Scott Lang, probably not Captain America, but it could just be future Loki that's created this time variance authority.
So Malcolm, I'll go to you, and then I'll address one last thing and go ahead and move on to the next topic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like this is one that I like the fact the writers sort of said that Mephisto's not going to be in this, Kang isn't going to be in this. Whether or not the Kang thing is him just trying to stop people from speculating going too wild about if that Kang's going to be a major part of the series or not, I don't know. But I like that because I think they saw the whole WandaVision thing that people can go so wild with speculation. And while speculation isn't a bad thing, if you keep going wild about it and then getting upset that it didn't come to pass, then it's going to make you disappointed in the show in the long run. But I do think this is going to be a one and done series. I do think that is going to end with Loki being reset at the end of it. Just to give sort of Loki a good send-off sort of show.
True. So, I should address, unless you were going to address the comments.
Yeah, so that's where I was going to go. So it should be said, not to literally contradict you after you speak, but I'm inspired by Sean. So Loki's actually the only show of the three that is already confirmed for a season 2.
Yeah. It seems like it's
the one that's further.
For season 2.
It may not go further, but they've already said a season 2 is in development. Once Michael Waldron finished working on the Doctor Strange script, he got started on a season 2. And then the other thing I was going to go to is the comments. And I'll basically the basic gist of it is it should be said that Richard E. Grant is not the only major cast member we haven't seen. If we're doing this off of Falcon and Winter Soldier style, there were multiple spots on that roster that weren't filled yet in terms of where the main actors should be. There were a lot of gaps.
Julie Louis-Dreyfus was credited in that animation, and she's in 2 scenes. Richard E. Grant could end up just being. I think it'll be more than that, but he could just end up being like that type of character.
So the question that he had was, who do we think he'll play? And as soon as the first episode came to its thing, and again, this is one of those where like I think it, but if I wouldn't be surprised if it's something else. The moment that they were like, oh, the other variant that we have to hunt down is you. And I'm gonna pull up a photo to back me up here. I 100% believe the other variant will be played by Richard E. Grant. They look alike. and I don't think it would make sense to have Tom Hiddleston play both the good guy and the bad guy. Like, I think it'd be weird to have an exact Loki play both.
That's time for Loki.
I 100% believe that like an older version of Loki is the time variant, and Richard E. Grant in all of his biggest roles has basically played a bad guy.
Because the time variance authority, it supports Loki's philosophy. Like Loki's philosophy, the whole entire the illusion of freedom is what like squanders people into doing chaotic things. He would view that like what the time variance authority is doing as kosher. It's just that they're doing it to him. That's the only thing that pisses him off. So I think this show's gonna end Loki King of Time. But like pretty much. And then maybe Kang challenges him. Maybe him and Kang form an alliance and we get kind of like a
And with that, Kang is a new all right. Anybody else have a quick theory on who they think Richard E. Grant might be? If you have one, if not, we'll go ahead and move on to our first set of topics.
I think maybe a timekeeper. I could see.
It'd be great if he was Kang. I wanted to be Kang.
Kang was already cast.
Kang's black.
Yeah, he wanted him to. He wanted him to.
Maybe.
That's what he said. And yes, Kang is much younger and black this time around. All right, so if that's all we have, we'll go ahead and move on. So, there we go. All right, that's the way to end this. So, unlike with
Mephisto,
I can see it.
Unlike with WandaVision, where we kind of did this impromptu every week, and with Falcon and Winter Soldier, we on separate video, which eventually evolved into me and Nikki just ranting for like an hour and a half. It was a lot of fun, but it got literally next to no traction. It got next to no traction. So what we're going to be doing is at different points in the show, we will bring it up and discuss it. So the next time that Loki will get brought up is at the midpoint. So either episode 3 or episode 4, just whichever week is easiest. And then once it has concluded, we will talk about the final episodes once again. So kind of going into it every week, we'll let a couple more episodes pass, and then we can get into what has happened since. So that said, we're not completely out of the woods, Marvel. We're going to go ahead and move on to our news stories. And up first is a set of news stories that begins actually with one of those interviews that Michael Waldron gave. So there were so many bits I can be bothered pulling all of them. So I pulled the one that interested me the most. Here we go. This week, head Loki writer Michael Waldron spoke on how his work on Rick and Morty influenced his approach to the Marvel series. Waldron, who worked on Rick and Morty for its first 4 seasons as a writer, including being promoted to a head writer and producer for season 4 before leaving to work with Marvel, says that his work on the show aided him in how to approach storytelling with Loki. He specifically cited Rick and Morty's more intergalactic and expansive episodes, wherein they usually had to explain large concepts and new ideas in about 30 seconds, and make sure they were explained and understood, because they had less than 30 minutes of screen time per episode and wanted to make sure they could have a cool sci-fi concept while still making time for comedy and an emotional story. He feels that this approach to storytelling is something that was very similar to when he came into Loki, and will bring a very similar tone, something that Feige agreed on. They leaned into this so much that eventually staff writer Tom Kaufman, who wrote with Waldron on Rick and Morty, was brought on board to WandaVision. For those who are interested, Kaufman was a writer from episode 1 and ended up writing 6 episodes over 4 seasons himself, including the season 2 finale, The Wedding Squanchers, and the season 4 episode, Rest and Relaxation, which featured the clean, toxic Rick and Morty concept. As the show continues, it'll be interesting to see how the MCU entry is influenced by the Cartoon Network hit. Writer-producer Jock Schaefer is still not finished discussing cut concepts from WandaVision, as this week it was revealed that in one of the earlier episodes of the show, Darcy was given an expanded backstory and found her way to the Sword base differently. She explained that we would have gotten a backstory on Darcy, similar to what we saw with Monica in episode 4, where Darcy was shown not blipping and getting her PhD in that time through montage. When the blip people returned, one of them was Darcy's grandma. Darcy is then forced to go get her old 50s-style TV back for a pawn shop when she pawned it when her grandmother disappeared in order to get money. When she plugs the television back in, as her grandmother lived close to the state or in the state of New Jersey, she would have received the airwaves and seen episode 1 of WandaVision airing, leading Darcy to be curious, investigate, and eventually find and join the Sword team. It was later decided that this would have been too deviant from the show's main point, a recurring theme in things that were cut out. So they instead changed it and had the TV bit happen after she was recruited to Sword as just an extra smart mind. This week, rumor mill website The Illuminati reported that actor Tenoch Huertas, who so far is the only new addition to Black Panther Wakanda Forever, will be playing Namor the Submariner in the film and will serve as the antagonist. The site also reports that a war between the Wakandans and Atlantis will serve as a major plot point in the film. No major trades or Marvel have commented on the story themselves, so for the moment it is a heavy rumor, but the casting would make sense and the internet certainly got excited. Although, what doesn't it get excited for these days? And finally, James Gunn reported through Twitter this week that after basically wrapping up everything for the Suicide Squad, he had already moved on to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The movie is in active pre-production with previs and storyboarding involving James Gunn himself happening. The movie, which will release on May 5th, 2023, is more than likely to go into production before the end of the year, as Gunn will actually be filming 3 projects during the shoot. If you didn't know this from before, not only are they shooting the film, but they will also be shooting the holiday special and the footage for their new Epcot ride all on one go with the shoot. So it's exciting to hear that we are getting closer to seeing this ragtag group of heroes come together. Well, at least minus.
I'll tell you what, they need to get that Guardians of the Galaxy ride footage done quick so I can actually ride the ride.
So, off the bat, I do apologize for the audio gapping. That didn't show up when I was looking at the footage beforehand. But as I was informed, it's happened during the show as well. I switched my mic where my audio output's coming from, so hopefully that will make it slightly better for the time being.
No, you just sound different, and it's like cutting in and out.
Yeah.
Fucking shit. All right, well,
I gotta send you one of my USB mics.
Or just buy my.
Honestly, I could invest in a new one. The one I have is the one I have is really old, so I might need to invest in a new one. But either way,
that sounds a lot better, and there's no crackling too.
Yeah, that's the best it's been.
All right, let's hope it's.
Is it an orange or a
let's
papaya?
Hope it stays that way.
That was a papaya, wasn't it? There you go. Yeah, I know my fruit.
All right, so let's hope my audio stays that way. Good God. All right, so
hopefully.
Let's go ahead and get into some of these. So,
yeah, I don't need to know about Darcy's grandmother.
Huh? Yeah. So that was the thing for me that stood out was like, they keep talking about things that they cut from WandaVision, and everything, with the exception of the bit in the finale that would have given proper closure to like Darcy and Evan Peters' characters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was trying to avoid saying it. But with the exception of that, everything that they've talked about, they've cut. Makes sense because it seems like this is exactly that, right? Like,
did they say who they were trying to get for Darcy's grandmother? Like who was going to play her, or was it like cut early on?
It never made it that far in the scripting process. So it was in the original draft of the script, and it was cut during script editing, so it would have never gotten to casting.
Because they had cast someone to play, I know in Falcon and Winter Soldier, they had cast like a pretty notable, like an actress that has worked. To play that Dina Madani character, and she's just a dead woman in the show. So
yes.
Nikki,
something Falcone, Veronica Falcone or something like that.
I can find it for you.
But Darcy's grandma was originally casted, and it was me. However, they realized that I am not a woman. I am actually a man who is not older. So they said, we can't do this. It's too late. We're just going to cut it out.
Tig Notaro in the Army of the Dead movie. That was a man character, and you can tell because the pronouns in that movie are very inconsistent.
True. Well, they casted. We shot the scenes. Look, great set. However,
so the actress you were thinking of was Hispanic actress Veronica Falcone. However,
awesome.
She was not completely screwed over. She is in Jungle Cruise, unless they cut her from that too.
Hey.
Yeah, that's why it was confusing because she's like on the poster of Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, she is in that. She's
a working actress. She's like a notable actress, and they just like reduced her.
She was in that horrible film Voyagers earlier this year, and she's also in the upcoming Purge movie. So I hope one of those 3 movies is good. Voyagers wasn't. Yeah. So with this Darcy thing, it makes sense to me that it was cut. It's one of those things where it's like if I had seen it, I'm sure it could have worked. but it is in excess of what the show was going for, so it makes sense that it's something you cut early. But I do like that they kept the best bit of it, which is the TV, right? Like, I do like that idea of, like, oh, they happen across what's happening because they plug in an old TV, and I like that, because to me, it's one of those things of, like, how would they have come up with that, like, in the concept of the room in a sword base, but knowing that, oh, this came from a bit where she happened to cross it in her grandmother's house, and then happened to cross it, and then went to work with sword, and they've just shifted over. It's like, oh, that makes sense, actually. Okay, so they cut the fat and kept the best bits of it and just rearranged to where it happened. It makes sense. There he is. He's
Makes
back.
total sense.
It does. Thank you.
But yeah, I kind of disagree with you on that. I would have loved to see this in the actual show. I mean, while the original plot of her discovering at her grandma's place was probably going to be a bit far-fetched, a little bit, I would have loved if they found a way to rework the bits of her go to get back the TV and all that for her grandma, then rearrange some of the bits so that she goes as working with the sword at the time when she discovers the thing. I think if it was in that order, it would have worked a lot better, because her randomly discovering it and then fighting Sword just seems a little bit weird
Because
timeline
wouldn't they have
wise.
called Jane Foster or Selvig?
I mean, assuming they probably would have tried to contact them, or I don't know.
Or Reed Richards? Oh!
But for me, the other one is that he is it would make sense if Namor is in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but the fact that none of the major trades or Marvel had not confirmed any of this. I mean, they only just recently confirmed Oscar Isaac is playing Moon Knight. We knew that was rumored for a long time.
You mentioned it, Malcolm, Moon Knight. I completely forgot about it until you said it. Is it in the news stories that I heard a rumor this week that John Bernthal is returning for Moon Knight as Frank Castle? Is this confirmed, or is this just a rumor? I don't know.
It is not in the news stories because that came from an even less reputable site than the Illuminati. So I did not put it. If it comes from somewhere more legit,
what the hell?
If it comes from somewhere more legit, then it's absolutely worth talking about. But there were, especially because we were doing the Loki chat, I cut a little more
shit about me. Yeah, you get out of
Yeah,
there.
I think this guy who they reported as playing Namor, I feel like he's too unknown of an actor to be playing such a big role as Namor. And I know everyone kind of wants Namor to appear in the Black Panther film, and I get it's like two kingdoms kind of going up against each other. I just feel like Marvel's not gonna do Namor for a very long time just because of Aquaman. I just think in the public eye they're just too similar of characters. And I know it's hard. I don't know what the rights issue is with Universal and Namor and Marvel, but it seems like they're not going to do a solo movie either.
So Namor's under the same clause that Hulk does, where if you do a complete solo film with the Namor branding, then Hulk does own distribution.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently you can do a Disney Plus series.
You can kind of get away with it.
Yeah, so you'll probably see a Namor Disney Plus series after this happens.
Nope, that
potentially
was Universal. They still cannot do that.
Well, they can't even do a Disney Plus series because, like with She-Hulk, what I heard about it was that if Hulk was in the title, Universal has distribution rights for theaters, but that didn't apply to streaming service rights because streaming services didn't.
And Hulk are still two different things.
Okay.
That's where
it's why they can't put the Incredible Hulk MCU movie on Disney Plus. It's because of that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Forgot about that. Yeah, I mean, they could.
It's a weird lawyer line.
Yeah.
It's
like with the Sony stuff.
I can play what's the game? 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I can play with one movie. The gentleman that is playing Namor, Tenoch Huerta, his first actual full-on English film is The Forever Verge, in which that previously referenced actor starred in as well.
But as for, I mean, it's one of those ones like I'd like to see. I don't want Namor to be someone known all the time. I think if it's as an unknown, you won't know what to get. But it's also one of those. who knows if it is actually happening as well. So
they've also cast every known actor in a Marvel movie already, and they're just going around in circles and casting them again. I mean, it's bound to happen.
It's insane how much Marvel was in it. The other day, as a joke, I was describing the plot of Men in Black 3 to my brother, but he doesn't know actors' names as well, so I was using movie characters. And it's incredible just how many of them have shown up in a Marvel film. Mm-hmm. Like, aside from Will Smith, it's like everybody else is in fucking Marvel.
And how has Will Smith not been in a Marvel movie? Like, that seems like... It seems like there's no, but I don't think there's any like sort of exclusivity clause there because we've seen it like both ways. But I just think that's interesting because that was another rumor that came out this week was that Aaron Taylor Johnson might be playing Kraven the Hunter.
So that was confirmed.
Yeah, that's confirmed.
That's confirmed.
Oh,
and it was bound to happen too because Roland. I think they're keeping Roland as Cable.
I didn't let you finish. The MCU part is not confirmed. He is getting his own solo film.
Oh, okay.
The MCU part is nowhere near confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah, so in the vein of Morbius and Venom.
The reason they've been able to work something out with Sony and not with Universal, a lot plays into Sony owns a video game system and a video game company. And the exclusivity for the Spider-Man games, I think, has a pretty big deal as far as that playing into their like film agreement. I think that was part of the last agreement. So Universal, maybe there's something that they can do down the line to give them something Hulk that isn't exclusively Disney. What's up, Matt?
So just to clarify in the video game part, Spider-Man is not exclusive to the Sony video games. Like he can be literally in any movie or any video game. There's been a lot of video games with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean the PS4. Yeah.
But with the PS4 game, the only reason why that's exclusive.
Yeah.
The only reason why that game and Miles Morales is exclusive
the
to
Avengers
the PlayStation
game as
4
well
and
had
5.
exclusive Spider-Man content.
Right, which I mean, they probably made a deal, but the reason why is because they own Insomniac, and Insomniac is,
okay,
you know,
So I believe Crystal Dynamics is another studio that's worked with Spider-Man before, but they're not by Sony.
Oh yeah, before.
So that obviously wasn't distributed. It's just Insomniac is owned by them. So
it's just that was the most recent. That was the only like that Spider-Man game came out after the Marvel deal. That's the only reason why I speculate on that. And they also Marvel have Heroes from the movies. In that, like they have the Spider-Man Far From Home, the Spider-Man Homecoming suit, but they have the Raimi ones as well, which was
that's what I use.
Suit, so,
the
Raimi suit's great. I love that suit.
The other thing that's different about the Universal deal that's to Sony, Universal only holds the distribution rights. Marvel still owns the character rights for Hulk and Namor. Sony owns the character rights to all the Spider-Man related characters.
So Universal
that is the big difference there.
That's why it's so odd that Universal hasn't played ball because they have nothing to gain by stonewalling them.
Well, Universal has no reason to play ball because essentially the way that their deal set up is if Marvel produces a film, right? So Marvel is owned by Disney. If Marvel produces a film with the Incredible Hulk or Namor as another example in the title, it's few specific characters that have that deal, then Universal automatically will distribute and receive all the profit, which means Disney's making no profit off the film that they are paying to produce.
But what Marvel has done because of that is we're just not going to make Hulk and Namor solo movies.
It's kind of crazy to think about how long this deal is lasting for, this distribution deal, because it's been like 2008 was the Incredible Hulk, right?
And this deal was signed back in the 90s when Marvel was just selling shit because they're desperate, and this just didn't have an expiry clause in it, I believe is what happened. So
I think it's in perpetuity as long, because it's different than the Fantastic Four one with Fox. Like Fantastic Four, X-Men, Daredevil, those ones, they had to make a movie every certain amount of years to keep the rights. The Universal Hulk one, that might be forever. Like that just might be.
There's no expiry. There's no limiting. Like Spider-Man's was like you had to have a film in production every 5 years.
Same with Daredevil.
Which is why it got rebooted so quickly. Because when 2011 hit and Raimi was still at odds with the studio, they were like, "Fuck it, reboot. We got to get something going." And that's.
I still wanted Maguire's Spider-Man 4. Like I still want that. I think we will get that.
Maybe not as a movie, but maybe like a comic book or a book. Oh. Maybe they write something. Maybe I don't know.
I'll move over. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, finish.
I just real quick with the Namor thing. I just want to say I pretty much expected Namor to be in Black Panther 2. Like this was before Endgame even. Like I kind of was like, okay, makes sense, Atlantis, Wakanda going at it makes sense for a sequel. Or even a third movie. But maybe. But I just, if this is true and Namor is in the second one, it sucks that we're not going to get like T'Challa versus Namor in the movie. I wanted that bad. That was something I was looking forward to. That would be really cool.
Yeah,
has a lead actor, has it ever leaked for a lead actor to be playing a big Marvel character in a movie before? Like, I know it did for Oscar Isaac for Moon Knight, but
Shang-Chi maybe.
It did for Paul Rudd, I
so
thought.
like,
Emma Chan in Eternals.
Well, so it's never. So that's the thing. Like, it's never so much as a leak. Usually, it's like it's reported because there's things there. So like, I know one of the big ones that never happened was when Joaquin Phoenix's Doctor Strange went public.
Yeah.
And then we later found out that he ended up not accepting. He didn't accept it. He just didn't want to sign a multi-film deal. Yeah. He just wasn't into it. He wanted to go film by film on his own terms, and they would do it.
Sean, I thought you were saying that have we ever had an unknown actor be announced as the lead of the film?
Yeah.
Which I mean, if you go back like to the superhero movies like of all time, Chris Reeves, relatively unknown, Brandon Routh unknown. All the Supermen have pretty much been not unknown completely. Like
I think for Marvel it's a little bit different though. They've always casted relatively known people.
They cast relatively known until they run out, and then they recycle.
Yeah. So with Tinoch Huerta, this is a little bit different. So Tinoch Huerta was confirmed as a part of the cast back when they announced who was returning. He was the one new name that was already confirmed. This is just a site that's saying they've been able to get information who he is actually playing because he's not been confirmed for a character. It's just we know all these cast members that are returning, and they'll be joined by Tinoch Huerta in an unknown role. So this is supposedly what the unknown role will be.
And we thought Matt Smith was in Rise of Skywalker, though, as Palpatine, so things could change.
Yeah. Not as Palpatine. He was in the movie. It was cut, apparently. But anyway, I could honestly see Namor being in a movie, but not this actor, because the internet did what the internet always does, and they looked into the past, and there was some pretty bad stuff that he tweeted out. So if this was actually true, I could see him go, well, we haven't confirmed it yet, so we're going to cut you, and we're just going to get the
what on earth could he have said?
We should talk about that on Cancel the Show.
Some racial stuff. I mean, maybe I could.
Cancel the Show still on Tuesdays?
It's supposed to. I completely forgot to upload it this week because of work, and
I was about to text you earlier. Like, hey, is this supposed to be still unlisted?
We got one in the bag, so we gotta put it out. We got one in the bag. We gotta put it out.
One in the bag.
I have to edit out a specific thing
for the
I don't want specific person to get in trouble for things that I know. But anyway,
just don't irritate and make a joke at the start of the next episode. We were cancelled for 1 week.
We were cancelled.
But we back.
Bill Gates tried to cancel us, but we canceled him.
Before we move on, is the Loki one. Because honestly, I completely see the influence. Like, I completely, and I knew ahead of time, I knew that he was a writer on Rick and Morty. You do this much research every week, you do know these things offhand. I completely felt the influence. I felt it completely. This is like, they're almost setting up Mobius and Loki on like this almost Rick and Morty like friendship where like one of the guys is the completely informed, I'm going to educate you, and we're going to have this back and forth with each other. Obviously it's a little different, one's not a child, but they have that kind of that we're going to riff together.
Fun fact, that was supposed to be the show was supposed to be called Doc and Marty, but they had to change it because of copyright reasons. It was supposed to be a Back to the
channel
Future type spin-off.
Whatever
and another fun
was
fact,
called, Channel
you can
30
play Rick Sanchez on Fortnite now, so get on there.
Look, we better get Owen Wilson as a pickle in just one quick scene, just like as a reference.
And the nose,
was so fun.
The nose, is that a prosthetic, or did
Owen Wilson
break
break
his nose?
That's his actual nose that he was born with. Unless he had plastic surgery.
I think he broke it when he was younger, and it looks like that forever now.
Yeah.
It looks different. Like it
So
looks
he
different in
may-
the show. Like it feels like they exaggerated it.
I don't think they've exaggerated his nose. I believe they have some sort of makeup and potentially prosthetics on him to age him a little bit. They are making him look older, and that just may be affecting the way you look at it.
That was something that I never noticed. And I thought,
actually-
like, did his nose get caught like in a time loop, and the rest of him
But
didn't?
Sean is right. I believe he
I
did
didn't
his
know that.
nose when he was younger, so it's always
I
looked a
never
little
noticed
funny.
that.
But when you look like, it's kind of like when you see somebody's face for the first time, and that's just what their face is. You may not notice it after 20 years now he's got, because of whatever makeup and prosthetics, but a slightly different looking face.
And I'm just used to him having hair too. I think that's also what it is. Like he has like the long blonde hair in most things. And by the way, did you guys see that Wedding Crashers skit where it was the poster of Wedding Crashers and it was Owen Wilson
Loki
and Loki on top of Vince Vaughn? That's great. Great stuff, guys. Good job.
Yeah. I want Vince Vaughn on this show. Just quick little thing. Please. Just one little thing.
Oh man.
Just
him
one
and John
little thing.
Favreau in the same room, and it's just the 90s, and they're swinging.
Maybe Vince Vaughn can play Galactus.
There you go.
He's pretty tall.
Oh yeah, he's big. He's
pretty big, tall.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
no,
he's
Vaughn's always
Let's
wanted to
do
be
it.
dramatic.
I like the way you
So
think.
that'd be the most
And
original
gotta-
role.
they gotta reenact.
Before. He wasn't bad on that
Look.
season. Everybody panned season 2 of True Detective. I didn't hate it.
No, he was. There were some scenes was a little weird with him in it, but
actors
I thought he
carried
was
the
really
show.
good for the most part.
Taylor Kitsch as well.
To
Like,
be
Taylor
fair,
Kitsch,
Taylor
all
Kitsch
the
was great.
actors carried the show.
I've never thought that Vince was a bad dramatic actor. I just think a lot of bad movies. It's more
He's
what
a
it
good
is.
dramatic actor.
I think
Like,
every comedic
you know what,
actor is better as a dramatic actor.
There's nothing wrong with his performance in Jurassic World 2. It's just not the best movie. I even think
Where did he go?
I even think in conception, like him as Norman Bates in a Psycho remake is not the worst idea ever. It's just that movie's horrendous. And when you're having him literally make Anthony Perkins, and it's like, oh, this is not working. You'd have to take a different approach with him. But it could work.
Jurassic Park, though. Where did Vince Vaughn go? Where did he go?
He's going to be in the new one, Jurassic
Is
Park or Jurassic World Dominion. I'm
Please,
just throwing
no,
it
he's
out
not.
there.
Please
You might as well
stop
bring
saying
him back. He's going to be in the movie.
He's not.
One scene.
In Jurassic Park, too.
They're bringing
He just
everybody
doesn't come
back. Everybody is going to be back
He's gonna
in
be
this
there,
movie.
and his daughter's
Julianne
gonna be...
Moore's never came back either.
He was
And
very
she'll be in
good.
this too.
To be fair, I don't think
Richard
Julianne
died.
Moore wants very much
Vince
to do with
Vaughn's
the
wife.
franchise.
And he
We'll
was
have Jeff
very good
Goldblum's
at
daughter
surviving
doing
90s.
gymnastics in the background. It'll be really cool.
Right? Nah, no, we don't need no more gymnastics.
He'll be
This
Galactus.
will be the Avengers
No more drop
Endgame
kicking,
of
Raptor.
Jurassic World movies.
Malcolm,
But-
your thoughts on Jurassic World?
But I like the franchise. I mean, it could be possible that Vince Vaughn and that could be coming back in Dominion. Just because nothing being said doesn't mean they can't throw them in as a surprise. So
True.
Surprise, motherfucker.
All right, any more
I would love
Any more
it if
thoughts
he's
on
just in a
Marvel, or
dark
are we
room
done here?
somewhere, and then a dinosaur
One
comes
more.
and eats him. Just one scene.
All right,
Really
one more thought
quick.
on Marvel, and then we're done. Go ahead.
I will only accept Vince Vaughn as Galactus if we can see a reenacted scene from Wedding Crashers, or he's talking to Owen Wilson after he is, does this thing with the mom, where he does the little, just to avoid being, demonetized for life or whatever, because that's what YouTube would do. Where he does
Don't
the
forget
chest
Doctor
roasting
Strange.
thing.
Rachel McAdams.
I want to see that.
He's in universe.
There you go.
Or Happy. He could do
All
a
right.
couple scenes with John Favreau.
Come on, get happy.
All right.
And that would be great.
We're going to move on from this weird hodgepodge of celebrities to talking about another
great
weird
topic.
hodgepodge of celebrities. League of
I think
Super
we
Pets
can
got a
call it
cast.
it.
Let's talk about it. This week, actor Dwayne Johnson, who will voice Crypto the Superdog in DC's League of Super Pets, as well as produce it, announced its expanded cast of characters through multiple announcements. The first was that he confirmed his real-life buddy Kevin Hart will be teaming up with him as the voice of Ace the Bat Hound in the film. The second announcement followed that revealed that alongside Crypto and Ace, the super team will contain Jumba the Kangaroo, Wonder Woman's pet in the comics, and Streaky the Super Cat, Supergirl's pet in the comics. And finally, after that, an ensemble was announced for the film, joining Hart and Johnson, and it should be noted that none of these actors are connected to roles as of yet. They are just confirmed in the film. The ensemble of the cast includes Kate McKinnon, John Krasinski, Vanessa Bayer, Natasha Lyonne, Diego Luna, and Keanu Reeves. This weird-ass wonder film will release in theaters next year on May 20th, 2022. This week, while doing press for his upcoming movie, The Tomorrow War, director Chris McKay revealed that his Nightwing film is actually not dead. Previous reports from a few years ago said that he had left the project to work on The Tomorrow War, but McKay corrected it in an interview. He said that active development on the film was halted for him to go and cut his teeth on the Tomorrow Wars. He had never directed a live-action film, but that the project never actually died. And McKay hopes that with a new Batman film and Batgirl film on the way, he is preparing to go back into the halls of DC and hopefully bring Dick Grayson back to life and back to our screens. His next project, The Tomorrow War, will hit Amazon on July 2nd, 2021. Speaking of Batgirl, DC confirmed this week that 2 previously announced theatrical films they are producing will actually be HBO exclusives. Batgirl, which was already rumored for this type of release, and Blue Beetle are the 2 forthcoming films that will be headed to our televisions rather than our theater screens. No real reason has been given as to why outside of they were chosen to, but we'll see how they turn out when they finally release down the road. Moving away from DC news, one of the more nervous sequels of 2021 is The Matrix 4. The movie sees multiple original cast members return, including leads Neo and Trinity, and features a large new ensemble led by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Neil Patrick Harris, and Jonathan Groff. Now a new piece has been added to that cast, as it was revealed by Collider that actress Christina Ricci also took part in filming for the movie. The report stated nothing else about her role, what she'll be doing, or how big it'll be, but fans of the franchise should always be welcome to great talent being added, like Ricci brings. And finally, this week, New Line and Warner Brothers announced that The Lord of the Rings is set to return to theaters, this time in the form of a new animated movie. The movie, which from what I could find has the rumored title Middle-earth: The War of Rohirrim, will serve as a prequel to the Jackson films and will focus on the legendary king of Rohan, Helm Hammerhand, the namesake for the second film's Battle of Helm's Deep. The film will be directed by famed anime director Kenji Kamiyama, who is best known for his work on the Ghost in the Shell TV show Standalone Complex and is currently working on a Blade Runner anime series titled Black Lotus. The script is being worked on by Jeffrey Addis and Will Matthews, who created and developed the Netflix series Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. The two are going to be aided by writer Philippa Boyens, who served as co-writer with Peter Jackson on all 6 films. The movie will be designed as an anime film, but in a more palatable way for the average Western audience member to enjoy, with design choices being based directly on the look of Jackson's films. No release date has been set. I wanted, before we get into it, I do want to something after I put the videos together for the week. They actually did confirm the title with a logo. So the rumor title that I was able to find was slightly incorrect. It is The Lord of the Rings, The War of, is it Rohirrim? Am I saying that right, Malcolm?
Clash of Champions.
So there you go. So that is what the film, that is the official logo for the film. Unfortunately, when I put it together, that was not public yet. So that I wanted to make sure I fixed it. This is a weird decision. Like, I'm interested.
What, the animated one?
It could work, but I just think it's just an interesting thing, right? Especially with like a reboot coming in the form of the Amazon series. The fact that they're like, we're going to go back to theater. It's a prequel to Jackson's films. It's going to have one of the writers who worked with Jackson based on Jackson's style. Yeah. And all of this. It's just like, I mean, it could be good, but it's just weird that it's coming at this time.
I don't know much about the story, but I'm more like, the red flag for me was more when they said anime feel, like it'll be anime, but it'll be more accepting to Western audiences. Anytime they like, look it up. Anytime any studio has said that about an animated property, the property bombed. You can either commit to anime or you can like do this halfway shit. Like Star Wars Resistance. This is the stuff they said when Star Wars Resistance came out. That's the worst show, animated show Star Wars has ever put out. And since they've put that out, they've gone back to the old format of animation. So that's
right,
the big
Malcolm,
thing that brings me about that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I love Resistance. I think it's actually better than Clone Wars.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
I was a little scared.
but
But I agree.
this is one of those ones like the Lord of the Rings series is not a reboot. It's actually set before.
Yeah.
It's they're calling it calling it Lord of the Rings
Oh,
is a
shit,
weird
okay.
title for the series because it's actually set before before the movies.
So it should be called The Hobbit, right?
Well, I mean,
Is it in between Hobbit? Is it in between Hobbit and then the Lord of the Rings that we know?
No,
Yeah.
it's before.
I don't know. From what I've heard, it's going to be set and so I think it's going to be. I don't quite know much about the series at all. Amazon wouldn't tell me anything. You'd think because I directed the movies, they would tell me everything. But but the one thing that does give me hope about like this anime prequel, I mean, I kind of am more about Lord of the Rings anyway. Peter Jackson I think Peter Jackson is attached to produce this as well. He's not so much hands-on with this one. I think he is good producing it, so he's going to be making sure that it's actually somewhat consistent with what he's already done in the movies. So
I actually got when the show is set. The Amazon show. Now, fun fact, I looked up when is the Lord of the Rings show set, and for some reason Google thought, oh, when was the book written? So they go 1948. It's like, wow, thank you, Google. I didn't need that, but the show is set during the Second Age, so it's like the second. I think the movies is the Third Age or whatever.
Third Age.
So it's right.
I'm interested because it's animated, but I wish it wouldn't be in the theaters. If it was on a streaming service, makes more sense. But to put it right to it in the theaters, and that's a little weird.
That's exactly what I said about Spider-Verse, though. Like when they announced the Spider-Verse, that's exactly what I thought was like, why are they do these animated Marvel movies all the time? Why are they wasting it on a theatrical release on it? And it ended up being one of the greatest superhero movies.
One of the best Spider-Man movies, yeah. All right, I got to jump out because kids, but good to see y'all. Love y'all. Aloha. Be good.
Later, brother. All right, so I want to address one of the comments that came up here because I did do the research to answer it. So I mean, to each their own on their opinion. I don't think, at least for me, the writers aren't a red flag on this show. Obviously, as I said, Jeffrey Addis and I forget the other gentleman's name, but they were the showrunners and lead writers on The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, so they had involvement in every episode of that show. And they've written one film called Life in a Year. I don't know anything about it, I just know they've written it. And then Philippa Boyens, who is co-writing it with them, as I said, is kind of Peter Jackson's personal scribe. So every film he's made since The Fellowship of the Ring, she is a co-writer on it.
Right.
And I think there's, like, if Jackson himself isn't going to do it, I think there's no better choice than someone like her.
Yeah, and I mean, because I know, like,
Mr. Jackson, your thoughts?
Well, I know we're doing The Hobbit, so it's going to be Guillermo del Toro directing it, but then he stepped away. And I think Peter Jackson, like, he would luckily stepped in to direct it. I think it was the case. He wanted, like, New Line wanted it done, but they convinced Peter to do it. But and it's one of those ones that they didn't want to waste too much time trying to find another director. So I think Peter Jackson stepping in to do it was like, if Del Toro wasn't going to do it, then I think Peter Jackson continuing his own story was the best thing to do for The Hobbit. And I mean, I enjoyed the Hobbit movies. I know a lot of people don't.
All right, so again, just to address it, when we're talking about writers, you cannot pin it on one person. She was one of 4 co-writers, and I would honestly say the writing is not the worst part of that series.
No.
There are aspects that are worse about those films than its writing. But again,
I blame the editing,
like the fact it was stretched out to 3
movies.
They
should have edited that severely down.
They didn't make the choice to. They weren't the ones who decided that a 3rd film should exist. And that's where problems began to stem from. Because that 3rd film, I mean, has nothing in it. That movie
Malcolm-
is just, how much can we stretch this?
Are you a book fan? Like, are you a fan of the books?
I love the Lord of the Rings books.
So did you read the books first, or did you see the movies first?
Oh, I read the books first.
Okay, yeah. I've always said that those movies are meant, like, they're so accessible, especially the first three Lord of the Rings movies that Jackson did. Those are really accessible for people who read the books. In my experience, people who are not familiar with the books and who weren't fans of the source material before that came out, they have a harder time gravitating towards stories from that universe. But what I really think is important is that you make a podcast called Malcolm in the Middle Earth. That needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Second time. All right, so
I said it off air before.
But the other thing is, like, Peter Jackson is a big fan of Lord of the Rings as well, and it really showed when he was making the movies that he wanted to make sure it was as faithful to the books as you can. Obviously, there's going to be some stuff you're going to have to leave out. That being said, and I think making The Hobbit a trilogy was more the studio's decision, not Peter's decision.
Absolutely, that trilogy spawned from the studio mindset at the time of, oh, we can split the last one into two and make money twice. Except, unfortunately, they were doing it with a book that was already barely enough for one film. So,
going to the Super Pets thing, if we can do that.
I was going to say, let's talk about what we're all excited for, right? It's Super Pets.
I mean, finally, we're seeing Streaky. I mean, we saw Streaky in live action for the first time ever in the Supergirl TV show. But now we're getting a movie, so I mean, I'm not really.
That's a name.
I want to say I didn't know who all the pets were gonna be in the superhero in the Super Pets film, but seeing a kangaroo and then realizing it's Wonder Woman's kangaroo, and then thinking I saw a saddle on the back of the kangaroo, and then Googling Wonder Woman's kangaroo to see images of her riding a kangaroo.
Does it turn invisible?
Battle. Like, are kangaroos like native of Themyscira or something? Like, why does she have a kangaroo? I don't understand.
I mean, it's cool. Nobody has a kangaroo. My problem is Ace the Bat Dog. He's not even the best bat dog they've ever had. I mean, Damian Wayne has a dog called Titus. Now that's a bat dog. That's a cool bat dog. He's just a dog.
Morally,
but
right
Ace
to like domesticate a kangaroo, though.
Domesticate, exactly. Yeah.
Is it
what
like,
about that cow?
Should a kangaroo be ridden like a horse? Like, I don't.
All right, so I know you're not exactly Australian, but you are down under. Malcolm, can you speak to the laws of domesticating kangaroos?
Don't try. Yeah, cannot do that.
They'll fuck you up.
Yeah, you got get killed by a kangaroo.
It's one of those things. I feel like if you ask somebody, their response is like, yeah, there's no written law, but like, good luck, buddy.
No. Don't stand behind a kangaroo. Like that's a common rule. Like that's something that I have heard.
Kangaroo Jack, that kangaroo, fuck those guys.
Oh yeah, I remember that Kangaroo Jack, horrible movie. But
you remember
that picture of Wonder Woman's kangaroo? He was wearing boxing gloves, right?
Yeah,
like
he was.
His punches hit so hard, he has to wear gloves to protect.
And that wasn't even a real kangaroo. Like, imagine what the real ones are like. If the fake kangaroos can do that, imagine what the real ones are like.
Can I just say,
that Girl the Blue Beetle movie, like that, the moving to streaming, that may actually get those movies made because they've been in production hell for the longest time.
True. Can I just say that picture for the kangaroo took me forever to find. The other three I found relatively easy, but when I looked it up, I had to scroll through pictures of just Wonder Woman on the back of a kangaroo. Like,
that's
doing a kangaroo. Like,
everybody knows about 5 Australians get beaten up by a kangaroo.
Did you guys know about Streaky before this announcement, though? No? Streaky was not one you were familiar with.
No, but I'm barely familiar with
it. I got excited for, like, Streaky, yay!
I read that name and went, really? Who named a cat Streaky? That just seems
weird. Is that like some Lysol brand cleaning item?
But can I just say, like, this to me reminds me of Spider-Verse a little bit in that I remember thinking the concept for that film was fucking ridiculous. And then they announced the cast. And I was like, oh shit, like actual real actors are taking this material and either giving it effort or taking it seriously, right? Like Nick Cage is the craziest thing. But this cast, Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart, I mean, Kevin Hart is the most ridiculous Bat Hound casting you could have got, but
Teen Titans Go to the Movies was like that as well. Teen Titans Go to the Movies over example. For that movie chemistry, it was pretty good. For their chemistry on screen, I think it works. Like, I think it makes sense making them the duo. And then the rest of that cast, like Krasinski, Keanu Reeves, I mean, he's perfect for a film like this. Diego Luna, and then a couple of SNL people in there. Vanessa Bayer, God help me, I hope she's fine in this one. And then I forget the last person. Natasha Lyonne is the other one. I think
and
best
like
case scenario, it's Secret Life of Pets. Worst case scenario, it's that DC show about insurance.
Secret Life of Super Pets.
Yeah.
Secret Life of Pets was just a bad Toy Story sequel, but even then it was fine. So like I'm okay with it. Well.
Like I don't think we're the audience this is pointing towards either. Like I'll see it. Like I saw Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and I might be pleasantly surprised. But
the one member that I'm not a huge fan of is Kate McKinnon. I get that she works on SNL, but especially because the only animated film I've seen her in that I can remember was she was in that Ferdinand movie. I don't know if anybody else here saw that, but I couldn't stand that movie, and one of the reasons was her.
Yeah. She's not that great of an actor, like she's a good comedian, and that's one of those things that I think will translate well to animation. That you hear the casting, and you're like, oh, but when you're watching the movie and like you see an animated voice in, I think her voice, like the way that she acts, translates well.
She's a good villain.
She's like a walking cartoon character.
I cannot stand Kate McKinnon.
Oh, I can't
her
either.
Voice and just her acting makes me want to literally jump in front of a semi truck and not die, but like have excruciating pain.
Yeah. No, it's annoying though, isn't it? Like she's annoying, right?
Look, you know how I feel about Darcy in the MCU. Like Darcy is like some God-sent character compared to Kate McKinnon.
Darcy has a PhD. I mean, she's got class, she's got style, she's got grace.
Bill Gates does too, but we know what's going on with Bill Gates. I won't talk about it. But anyway,
I don't know what's going on with Bill Gates.
There's some it's cheating wife crazy stuff. Anyway,
hey, the marriage bed is the marriage bed, all right? That's not our business.
You know, he just, you know, he got a little horny and you know, in Microsoft.
Look, there are some pleasures. Some pleasures a computer can't fix for you. Okay, let's just move on.
I didn't need to know Bill Gates was like that, but anyway.
No one wants to
whatever
think
gets drive. I cannot stand.
I cannot stand. Which, thank you, Bill Gates, for creating Microsoft. I should say that too. You created basically Xbox is because of you. I feel a little dirty because of it, but hey, you created. Thank you, Microsoft Word. I like that. Excel. Thank you very much.
While we're mentioning Bill Gates,
yeah.
Why is your controller turning orange?
Green. It's a
I don't know.
What the hell is going on there?
Yeah, what is going on?
You have your green screen on.
Guys, start the holodeck.
You have
what time is it? It took us an hour and 28 minutes to mention it, but I have a start reference. Aaron is on a holodeck.
Hold up.
Yeah.
I mean,
why? Did you go into your settings? Stop that.
I'm trying to find Tom Cruise's face. I hit the Mission Impossible.
Wow. No, that's impressive. But like Bill Gates, I want to mention something because you mentioned invented Microsoft Word. I just want to play a guy that does not get enough play in the industry. John Knoll. Do you all know who John Knoll is?
No.
Yes, he's ILM.
He's ILM. He's the visual effects
story for Rogue
ILM.
One.
He did all of the good Star Trek movies. Malcolm's Turned to Bricks now. I think he's Mario. And he's the inventor of Photoshop. And he did the storyline for Rogue One. So I just John Knoll is responsible for movies today, and he does not get enough credit. So John Knoll, hey, you're the Bill Gates of visual effects.
Hold on.
So then the last thing that we really didn't touch on, unless somebody else wants to talk about the streaming thing, is Nightwing. I mean, look, sure.
I have opinions. Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, Dick Grayson, a great character. My only intrigue with that is that I've always wanted to see Robin in a good movie. before we see Nightwing. And I
Yeah.
think
Fair.
that because the comic books are all like Robins, like there's so many Robins now, I think the only Robin that could translate to live action and actually be like a boy wonder kid Robin is the Damian Wayne version. And that's because
Yeah.
you could just go hit girl with it. Like
Matt,
it
Right.
breaks the perspective that he's not trying to protect a kid. He's trying to protect the world from a kid. Who is that?
That's the Chris Stuckman photo as his green screen background.
Who I don't know.
That is horrendous, Matt. I'm taking you off.
I know comics though, and Dick Grayson. If we do get a Nightwing movie, I hope they do give us some sort of like flashbacks as Robin, because I don't know if any of you have watched like the DC Titans show. Horribly disappointing. I was excited for that, and then watching it, it's rough.
I will say, if there's anyone who could handle it, I think it is Chris McKay. Inadvertently, he actually brought the best version of Robin to the big screen, I think. Because for those who don't know, Chris McKay was the director behind the Lego Batman movie. So I think
No. I will fight you on that. I will physically fight you on that.
I thought it was funny.
Chris O'Donnell is better than the Michael Cera Batman.
I don't think Chris O'Donnell's better than
The Robin in Teen Titans Go to the Movies is a better Robin than that. I hate Chris O'Donnell's Robin. That Lego Batman movie is an atrocity.
Really?
That's the worst Batman movie ever.
It's so much fun.
No, it's not.
is a lot
That's
of
not
fun.
fun. That is
It is a fun
anger-inducing. The only thing good about that movie that comes out of it is Billy D. Williams gets to play Two-Face.
What made you angry about it? It's a
It's
joke.
horrible. It's horrible. They saved the
It's not
city by
horrible.
holding hands with the Joker. You are definitively ignoring the core principles of that character.
It's a joke.
It's not a fun
It's
joke.
a Lego movie.
Not a fun
Whole
joke.
movie
The
is a
Lego
joke.
movies aren't like supposed to be
Batman,
taken serious.
Batman just
I
finished
understand
banging Wild
Like,
Style to go make
You
his
can
own
have
movie.
bad
Like,
guys
at
in
that point.
kid. Look at Cruella DeVille. She wants to kill puppies and wear their flesh as garments. You can have bad people in
They
kids
make
who
that.
don't have
They
to-
make that joke more than once in the Cruella
Yeah.
remake, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Are they
I-
gonna kill a puppy? Are they
I
gonna kill
hate
it?"
the Lego Batman movie. Who hurt me? The director of the Lego Batman movie. I'm a huge Robin fan, and
Well-
I'm a huge Batman fan. I'm a huge fan of all those Batman characters, and they did a disservice to every single one except for Two-Face. Two-Face
Well,
should have always been Billy D.
In 3 weeks, the next film comes out, so you can judge how he does with live action.
What?
Yeah.
His next movie, his first live action film, comes out in 3 weeks.
There.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant another Lego Batman movie.
It's on Amazon. No, those
I don't
aren't
get
getting
angry
made.
over- That made me angry.
They got sold. They're not getting made again.
Yeah,
Which
I
is a
feel
real
like this,
shame, because I actually
Nightwing-
think 3 of those 4 are
Dick-
good.
I feel like this Nightwing Dick Grayson film is probably not gonna get made from this director. I just feel like they're already coming out with Blue Beetle and Batwoman. Or not Batwoman, Batgirl. I just feel like it's been so long since we last got an update or anything about this film. So
Which Batwoman has been great.
If it does, I think it'll probably end up going to HBO, like they shifted Blue Beetle and
Mhm.
Batgirl. Which, by the way, can I say I love one of the things that was funny was when I was doing the research for this. I loved seeing links because some websites, when you're reading through their stories, will interlink you to previous articles related to it. And I love seeing all the love that announcement got when it was announced that Blue Beetle was coming, because everyone's like, "Oh my God, they're like actually doing this smaller character that is a Hispanic lead as a superhero film. This
So
would be
it is
incredible."
Jaime Reyes. I was about to ask, is it Jaime Reyes or is it Ted Kord?
It is. It's Reyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So me personally, and I don't want to be that guy. I've always liked the Ted Kord Blue Beetle better, but like just out of the two, Jaime Reyes has always been more of like a Young Justice, Teen Titan, like a younger, like funner version of the character. What I've always wanted to see from a Blue Beetle production is sort of like how they did Ant-Man, where Hank Pym established he was Ant-Man and he can't do it anymore for whatever reason, and he's passing the baton. I would love to see something like that with a Jaime Reyes movie. I think it could really work that way.
I'd rather see with a Ted Kord. I'd rather see him and Booster Gold in a film.
Yes, yes.
buddy
That was in
duo. I
development
think
for a
that would
while
be
too with
hilarious.
Guggenheim. Yeah,
Yeah, that was around for a bit, but that seems to have disappeared since Guggenheim's kind of.
that was after they were really high on the Arrowverse, like for a while. Which
Yeah,
like,
no, they're
they've
not
kinda-
so much.
they've had a
now they're slowly
restructuring.
now they're slowly canceling the Arrowverse.
They're not
You can
canceling.
die.
I hear what you're saying. I just think that they're pivoting a little bit because like they're canceling Supergirl. Legends and Flash are almost like unwatchable at this point. Those are kind of like the ones that are left from like the old guard of DC shows.
And
the rest of them, they're much more thought through. Like Superman and Lois, it impresses me. And Batwoman, I think Batwoman has made some decisions that have questioned and then have come back to. So I've been enjoying like the further expansion. Stargirl too. Stargirl, my God. Stargirl overperformed. That show had no business being as good as it is. Stargirl's good. Luke Wilson in Stargirl. Great. Best I've ever seen Luke Wilson. The Wilson brothers are bringing it, guys.
All right. So with that, does anybody else have any thoughts on any more of these stories? Oh, I guess the other one we can reference briefly. I don't know how much anybody cares, but Matrix 4, Christina Ricci being confirmed as a part of the cast.
Jada Pinkett was in there too. I think
she is confirmed to return. There's like 10 or 11 names in this that are technically big, and then there's the unknown. So I just couldn't be bothered.
Is there a title, or is it just Matrix 4?
I believe the logo just said The Matrix, but that's not final.
I always said it should be called Matrix Rebooted. I don't know what the movie's about. It's just Matrix Rebooted. It's just, it fits. Like all those titles started with R, and it's a soft reboot. So Matrix Rebooted just sounds perfect.
Yeah. I mean, like Christina Ricci joining the cast of Matrix 4, or being in the cast for a while, I don't know, because like when I found this, and then when I brought it up on Late Night Tape Free last week, and like one of the comments someone made was that I thought they'd already finished filming the Matrix because it's supposed to be coming out this year. So
December, I think, is the release.
So I think this is just. We're just learning that she was a part of it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything new.
I think that's fair too, because it's it was happening during COVID time. I don't know if they did any like volume shooting or blue screen shooting. The only shot of the movie I've seen is Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu with the long hair on the motorcycle. That's the only shot that I've seen like of the movie. And anything with Yaya in it, I'm just on board with, because he was great in Watchmen. He was great in Aquaman, which we said earlier tonight. And did that Candyman movie ever come out, or is that still on the way?
Still on hold.
Yeah, that's one that I'm looking forward to.
Or end of summer, early fall.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, they moved it to Halloween this year, right?
That sounds right.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
What's it called? Candyman? Just Candyman, right? They're keeping that trend alive.
Yeah, Candyman. We've said it twice. We can't say it another time.
Candyman.
A webcam counts as a mirror, guys. Come on.
August 27th.
Candyman. Oh, look at that.
I am
so sooner than we think.
I'm pretty hyped for Matrix 4. I know it's gonna suck. I know it's probably gonna be bad, but I was so psyched back in the day when Reloaded and Revolutions came out. I love the first Matrix, and I love the 2 sequels. I know they're bad. I love them.
Yeah, I like them too.
And I can't wait to see Matrix 4.
And I see you got a poster behind you. You got John Constantine, Keanu over there. That's like, you also got a Boba, if I'm not mistaken, a Star Wars bounty hunter poster behind you.
I do, a video game.
You guys rocking the poster game. We haven't been on a show together before, but I like what he's bringing to the table. Metroid Prime. Holy shit, this guy's awesome.
All right. While Nikki finishes over his posters, Malcolm, go ahead and jump in there.
But yeah, I mean, because I actually didn't talk about the League of Super Pets thing. Yeah, but like this is one that the casting I find weird, because while I know we talked about The Rock as Crypto last week, I think.
Yes.
But it's one of those ones that...
One sec. Chris, don't you dare besmirch the name of Jupiter Ascending. It was at least entertaining.
I know people that like speed races, so...
yeah, me and Devin were going to watch Jupiter Ascending last week, and then I read the synopsis for it, and I was like, nah.
Keanu Reeves
Dude,
is like...
Channing Tatum is half man, half bitch. It's incredible.
Speed Racer.
Shit. I got that
Speed
confused.
Racer 9 out of 10. Speed Racer is a fantastic film.
But yeah,
I'm Sucker Punch. I was thinking of a different movie.
But yeah, I'm hyped for the Matrix. I actually liked Reloaded and Revolutions. I know a lot of people don't, but anyway, I mean, I kind of would have liked to see what it would have been like if Kevin Hart was Crypto the Superdog and The Rock was playing Ace the Bat Hound. I think that might have been a interesting dynamic because I think I don't know much about the character if Ace the Bat Hound is supposed to be serious. I just can't buy Kevin Hart being a serious Batman, Bat Dog type character. But The Rock I can, so I would have liked to see those two roles switched. But I'm just curious, and I love the rest of the cast. I like Kate McKinnon. I like all the others. I don't like Natasha Lyonne is probably the one that I'm not a big fan of. I really did not like Russian Doll, and that. But yeah, we're probably going to get a trailer for Matrix at some stage soon.
I hope.
Because I mean, I think this is a case of, especially with this year, they're just not sure. They just are not sure about when what's going to happen this year. Whether it's going to need to be moved.
Huh?
But I do think
whispering into your mic.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get a trailer. I wouldn't be
Sorry.
surprised if we get a trailer within the next couple of weeks.
Hopefully. All right, guys. So unless anyone has anything to add, we'll go ahead and move into our last topic of discussion for the episode. I'll give you guys the choice. I'll give the people on screen the choice. You guys want to do the trailers or the news stories? I don't know how many people here have seen all the trailers. Nikki doesn't even know if
seen any of the trailers.
Okay, so we'll save the trailers for next week, and we'll go ahead and get to the news stories. Let's go ahead. Last week, it was reported that despite a potential lawsuit on the table, Disney and 20th Century Studios are working to move forward on their reboot of The Predator, which will be a completely unrelated project to the previous 4 films in the franchise, all of which have a loose connection to each other. Supposedly, the movie will begin shooting in Alberta, Canada later this year, and has cast actress Amber Midthunder in a leading role in the film. Midthunder is best known for her role as Carrie Loudermilk in the FX show Legion, as well as roles in films like Hell or High Water and the upcoming Netflix film The Ice Road. Disney is yet to comment on the report, but it is more than believable that they would move forward. Alongside the rumor that they are moving forward was the inclusion of the detail that, for those who don't know, this particular Predator script is actually an adaptation of an original concept created by director Dan Trachtenberg, called Skulls. If something were to happen where the Predator concept can't be used due to a lawsuit, it is believed that Disney will just revert to the original creature concept for Skulls and move forward. We'll keep everyone updated on what's to come. This week, Collider reported that The Mandalorian will be left waiting a bit for its next season. Star Wars The Book of Boba Fett wrapped up production last week at Disney's LA filming studios that are used for Star Wars. However, it appears that Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi will be the next project going into film, with Mandalorian Season 3 being left to wait on Obi-Wan finishing up. Mando Season 3 was never dated, but it was assumed that it would air late this year or early next year, as the previous seasons have. But it is now assumed that with production schedules, it'll either air in later 2022 or even early 2023. Star Wars junkies can currently watch The Bad Batch on Disney Plus, and The Book of Boba Fett, which serves as a spin-off to Mando with cameos from Mando cast, will air in December of this year. Leaked set photos, which have since been removed, which is why I don't have them, reveal details about the upcoming James Mangold project, Indiana Jones 5. The set pics revealed that the film will involve Indy's favorite enemies, the Nazis. Obviously, with Indy being much older, this film won't be set in the 1940s, but it'll be interesting to see how they work the Nazis into the film. We've reportedly learned that here as well that Mads Mikkelsen will be playing a former Nazi scientist that'll serve as the main opposition to Indy. The film will answer all of our questions based on rumors when it releases on July 29th, 2022. Stepping away from Disney, John Wick Chapter 4 added a few new cast members alongside the returning Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, and Ian McShane. Asian actor Donnie Yen joins in a confirmed role as an old friend of Wick's who makes his way to aid Wick in his fight against the Continental. Alongside him, actress Rena Sawayama and actors Shamir Anderson and Bill Skarsgård all join in unknown roles. Not much more is known about the new cast or what they'll do, but we'll be sure to keep reporting new members in anticipation for the film's May 27th, 2022 release. And finally, this week, Universal confirmed that a 5-minute long first look at Jurassic World Dominion will be released to theaters alongside F9, the Fast Saga, and will only air on shows of the film played on IMAX screens. It is unknown what exactly will be shown in the preview, but all we know that they've said is that it won't be a full-on trailer and that it'll use mostly footage that was shot in IMAX. The preview will release alongside F9, which will happen on June 25th, 2021, and Dominion releases just under a year later on June 10th, 2022. All right, so the other two will be back to join us in just a second. So I'll go ahead and pass it to Sean. Which of those interests you the most, or what do you want to get into first?
I'm kind of worried about that Predators film, because if it's so easy to just take out the Predator and like put in another monster, if something happens with the rights, then it kind of makes me think that the Predator doesn't even really need to be there. So is this going to be a good Predator film? Like, I like the Predator. I like the idea. I like the concept. I like a couple of the Predator films, but this kind of worries me right off the bat.
I agree with you. It's a case of the only reason I'm not totally worried is because of who's making it. Funny enough, Dan Trachtenberg's only other directorial feature is one that went through a similar experience with 10 Cloverfield Lane, which also was not a Cloverfield movie when he was a part of writing the script. I believe it was him, Damien Chazelle, and one other writer wrote the script, and that was not a Cloverfield movie. And then it turned into a Cloverfield film.
Yeah.
So,
and like they've done that the other way around too. Like Quiet Place was supposed to be a Cloverfield movie, and then it ended up being its own thing. I actually am one of the few people that like kind of liked the last Predator movie. I know it had like problems with writing and directing, but like the basic storyline of it, I thought the storyline was pretty interesting. Like the Predators are like trying to take aspects from each species to become like ultimate, and I like the part they added with like Jacob Tremblay, how they like wanted him and they wanted to like extract like the genius like that he had. But it's one of those things that I just like kind of appreciated in that movie. But like yeah, I'll watch it when it comes out. It's nothing that I'm particularly excited about, but like I want it. But like they have the property, they should do something with it.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario, and I believe originally the way this went down was Trachtenberg wrote this idea for Skulls, and it got pitched to 20th Century Studios. They may have been Fox at the time because this has been around for a few years, and it was Fox that went, oh, your creature kind of shares similarities to the Predator. What if we just made it a Predator film to try and help it at the box office? So maybe it works. Maybe your fears are founded and it doesn't. I don't quite know. I just hope it's like undeniably good, because like I don't think like Predator 2 is fine. Predators is decent, and the last one had good moments in it. Specifically, I thought the character writing was probably the strongest thing in it. But all three of those films have been various ranges of just meh. And like even Terminator got a Terminator 2. So like I just want Predator to have one really great sequel and then, put it to bed. That it is what it is. But anyone else have thoughts on that? Or if you guys want to move on to another topic, just go ahead and throw it out.
So I gotta say I disagree with you about the Predator or whatever the Adrian Brody movie is. I
Predator
like
5. That's the tentative, just whatever. Predator 5.
But I liked the Adrian Brody movie quite a bit. I really did.
Adrian Brody. Close your eyes and open your mouth.
It is the second best Terminator movie or Predator movie. He is not in Terminator. Fun fact. So there you go.
Because they're running through the jungle.
101 here.
Like that movie gets to the core of what Predator is.
I was with it up until Psycho Lawrence Fishburne and Evil Topher Grace.
What about
that's where it started to lose me.
I still liked it. I liked it.
It's probably the best of the two sequels. It's the best of the three sequels.
Oh, by far.
But it's like saying Dark Fate's the best of the other Terminator films. Like, sure, but
it's the best shit on the pile of shits.
I mean, I disagree with that.
Yeah,
I think Salvation's better than Dark Fate. Dark Fate's just
it's more original.
Poo-poo. But no, anyway, to get back to the Predator thing, I'm kind of on Sean's side with the whole. I really don't think the Predator is needed. If you could like interchange them, why even make a Predator movie if you're going to change it easily? If you're going to make a Predator movie and assuming that nothing goes wrong and Disney/Fox can make a Predator movie, actually make a Predator movie rather than a Predator unless legal reasons prevent us from doing it. Because I think that just hurts the movie.
I mean, it's one of those ones, like, I think it depends on what the story itself is. Because it could just be that the story itself can be either Predator or whatever this other monster is. So I mean, I don't think it matters either.
Hunter.
I don't think it matters either way.
Here's what it is.
As long as it's a good movie.
Can I say though, if we're gonna
see the Predator, he takes his mask off, and it's Manny Ramirez from 2007.
Manny Ramirez, yeah, and then Michael Cera too.
Yeah.
Can I just say, if we're gonna take one thing from this original script, can the title of the film be Predator: Skulls? Because I think that's a great title.
The Skull Predator.
It's better than another version of Predator with an S or a the or
Predator,
a number.
Skull
Like, let's just do something.
It'd be
Predator, the Predator,
or
it could be the Predators. We haven't had both a the and an S yet, so let's just do both.
Yeah,
Make it more confusing.
Or it could just be called more Predator, or a different Predator,
or Predator 5.
Sexual
Predator Electric Boogaloo.
A Predator Day to Predator Hard.
Predator and
Bruce Willis, is that you?
Oh my! Wow, Jean-Claude Van Damme is back in the suit.
But anyway, to sort of move on, the Mandalorian season 3 not being this year, I'm pretty sure that was already confirmed when they did these things, like, and I think it's one of those ones. It makes a lot of sense because, as Chris mentioned in the comments, he is good. He is about to do this Last of Us TV series as well. So,
right.
And as soon as they announced that it was going to be Book of Boba Fett in December this year on Disney Plus, then I think the hopes of Mandalorian season 3 are going to be at the same time was pretty dashed at that point. And I believe Obi-Wan is already in production. So
what about Ahsoka? Where's Ahsoka falling in the release schedule?
I think it's
later.
Later. Okay. I think we'll get that before we get Mando season 3 based on this story.
No.
So they haven't set. They don't have like set release dates for any of them. They're all just kind of happening.
And they did cancel Rangers, correct?
Yeah, they did.
Rangers is
it's on the show.
And I think it's canceled, and I think canceled is kind of the wrong word. I think they're kind of going to take what they planned with that storyline and just restructure it. And that's what they're doing with the Bad Batch right now. I mean, a lot of the Bad Batch, I think, is going to be like recycled storylines from what they didn't get to do in the Clone Wars, and just like kind of repurpose it, kind of massage it into the timeline, much like we got Grand Admiral Thrawn, like in Rebels, where they took like the Heir to the Empire stuff, which, I mean, hell, they could still be doing that. But they made Thrawn more of a pivotal character in the Rebellion era and less in after.
So I was gonna say, just to interrupt, I apologize. I gotta drop for time, so Matt, I'll have to close out the show.
Oh no, I do too, so that's fine. But yeah, I'm not worried about it because Bad Batch is great, and we're gonna be getting a lot of other Star Wars stuff. So as long as they keep pumping out Star Wars, that's fine.
So I just wanted to get in before I drop quickly. That John Wick cast is fire. Especially Donnie Yen and Bill Skarsgård. I think those are incredible additions to that cast. And the fact that we now know at least we have Lawrence Fishburne, Ian McShane, and of course Keanu back. I think that's all really, really good news. I hope they continue adding. I think there are cool pieces that you could bring back. I mean, I'd even been down for Halle Berry coming back again because I liked her in the third film. Whoever you want to add.
Yeah, they could have done now. Common. I would love Common.
I'd love for him to come back too. They didn't kill him technically that we saw, so he could have lived. But I gotta hop off. Nikki, Matt, I'll let you guys close out the show while you guys finish up talking on the topics. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all of you guys for joining. And Matt, have fun with the rest of the show. I will see all of you guys next week.
Sorry to abandon you, Matt. I also have to hop off. But yeah, great show tonight, guys. Thank you for having me back. But yeah, you can find me. I'll try to be on next week. I'll try to be on other shows on here.
You know what, Nikki?
I hope you and get fucked in the ass by an angry moose.
Honestly, I hope so too. I mean, that would be an upgrade
Sounds
to
fun.
most of the rest of my life. So, I'm gonna go in the woods and try to find Bullwinkle. You guys have a good rest of the show.
Cool. Just
Or
look
is
for
it
Rocky.
Rocky? Rocky's the moose, right?
Yes, Rocky
Yeah.
is the moose. Bullwinkle's the squirrel.
Yeah.
Like,
Good with
here's
that joke, guys.
I
Bullwinkle.
thought Loki was a squirrel when Bullwinkle was the moose.
I don't remember. I got to go back to the movie. But I will say, I think instead of saying canceled, because I agree, I don't like let's not use the word cancel for a lot of things. Just say Rangers of the New Republic got Gina Carano'd instead of canceled.
Got
But
Carano.
anyway.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
Yeah.
it's one of those ones you can't say it was cancelled when it never got off the ground. They just chose not to go for it in the end, because I mean, as what I've always said, just because Loki season 2 is in development doesn't mean that they can't decide that it's not needed once season 1 has finished. Because I mean, like, unless it's been filmed and finished, then a season it's just one of those ones like because I've seen a lot like Netflix chose to cancel this show that they haven't even started filming, and it's like it's not cancelled, it's just not greenlit.
True, but I still hold we should just say Gina Carano. But no, for me though, I will say that with the Obi-Wan thing, they are filming because there were photos that came out of Obi-Wan or Ewan McGregor walking the set. He has the boots that Obi-Wan's wearing. He's covering up in the whole thing. So I think they're just getting into it. And then also Jon Favreau did say on Good Morning America, I think shortly after Book of Boba Fett was announced officially, he did say that as soon as Book of Boba Fett ends or is done with production, whatnot, they're going to go right into Mandalorian season 3. So that's why I expected Mandalorian would probably be like February, March, maybe April of next year.
I mean,
somewhere in there.
It's one of those ones. I would probably go as far as say we probably won't see Mandalorian season 3 until December. I mean,
that could be too.
Because I mean, it's one of those ones. Like I think they might be keeping December for the Mandalorian series of shows. So if they keep it on traditionally, there's 1 year to develop the show, get it filmed, edited, special effects. I think that's an easy job to do. Because it's not like there's any pandemic that's going to screw up their filming anymore. So,
right, yeah, but I mean, I guess it depends when they also want to release Ahsoka. Like, because I think Ahsoka's either next year or 2023. It's going to be one of those, I think.
I mean, it's one of those ones. Like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we could get Ahsoka next year as well. I think, because I think there's a good chance Ahsoka's in pre-production now, so we could get so. They may, because I don't know who's the showrunner of that, because if it's someone different from who's doing Obi-Wan and Jon Favreau, then it's possible that they can work on it, get it filmed, like between now and maybe get it out in maybe August, October next year. So,
right, yeah, because I'm pretty sure Filoni's going to be in charge of Ahsoka because that's like his baby for Star Wars. But I guess before we close it out with the John Wick casting, do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't really have any thoughts. I mean, like the only one we know for sure what kind of role they're playing, Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen in a John Wick movie, which means they might be going more martial. I would be surprised if they go more martial arts with John Wick and that. But it's also one of those ones like I like the cast. It's hard to speak on them without actually knowing what the majority of them is actually playing in this movie.
Right, true. I thought I heard that Donnie Yen's playing like an old friend, kind of like.
Well, I mean, I think that's the only one that's kind of been talked about. The other ones have all been an unannounced role, undisclosed roles.
True, but I don't know. But yeah, I do like the casting a lot. I Obviously,
like-
Donnie Yen fits perfect in this universe.
I feel like John Wick hasn't had like a very memorable villain yet.
True. I don't think memorable either. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Like
know,
it's
I mean, there was
awesome
a
that
whole
Donnie
group,
Yen's in
but
it. That just like raises the quality of the film, especially like all the
Yeah.
action and whatnot that's going to be in it. I hope the villain of this new one is going to be, something more memorable, something cool.
True. I mean, it would be pretty difficult just because the action is just so like, especially as they keep progressing, it just gets more and more insane.
Yeah.
Like that whole library fight scene with the book, that was just awesome.
I've got it. Lawrence Fishburne turns on Keanu Reeves. We get another villainous Lawrence Fishburne. They're going to
Hell
cast
yeah.
Adrian Brody in the movie, and in
Yes.
the background, and in the background, you'll see the Predator hanging out.
Yes. Topher Grace is in it too for some reason. He's the villain. Him and Michael Cera are like some like team. They team up to take down John Wick. That would be quite entertaining.
And if they can't get the rights to the Predator, they'll just use the
True,
skull
yeah.
monster.
There you go. Yeah, they'll just connect with John Wick. That's how they'll
It
do
all
it.
comes full circle.
That's what they'll do. They'll get Keanu Reeves will actually be the villain in the Predator. That's what we'll get, and he'll be John Wick in that. Just like get that reverse imagery or a reverse portrayal. But yeah, no, I mean, cast is great, all the good stuff. And thank you everybody who tuned in. We are right at the 2-hour mark. It's actually 2 hours 1 minute. In just a second. Right about now, we're at the 2-minute 1 second mark. So thank you all for watching. I'm going to go around the table real quick. I'm going to go to Sean first. Sean, where can the people find you?
Hey, my name's Sean. I was awesome coming on. You could find me on Instagram at Sean Hunter Climbing. I post a lot of climbing related stuff. It's not really so much movies and comic book stuff. But yeah, it's always a joy coming on and talking about movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
Awesome. And then we're going to go to Malcolm. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Take Three Productions, where I host Rankum every Sundays. Next week is our 150th episode, so it's going to be a redux of a previous list. So the poll is on the Take Three page now. Vote, and all that. I also host Late Night Take Three. That's usually on every second Sunday. You can. And over on the Full Metal channel, I host Full Metal Classic on Sundays, and also I do Full Metal Random. This week, we've going to have 2 Full Metal Randoms this week. We've got Boy Meets World tomorrow, just after Classic, and Nightmare on Elm Street, which is on Wednesday.
Nice. Yeah, you guys make sure to check all that stuff out. Check out Sean, check out Malcolm, check out all the things they offer to you good people. Of course, you can find me on this channel. As you can see, I am on this channel. I am on After Dark, which is on Saturdays. And guess what? It is Saturday in, a decent amount of the world. So, you check me out and Malcolm and Sean, whenever they can make it on, as well as Aaron, Nikki, and all the cast of people we have here. I'm going to try to remember all the shows we have real quick because Aaron usually does that. You can catch I'm going to try to say it like Colton does. You can check out the Supernova Show. Those are on Sundays, I believe. You can also check out Schmo Talks. I believe that's back now. It had hiatus. Last week, I believe we had the first episode in a little bit, but Schmo Talks back. That is on Mondays. Tuesdays, you can check out Cancel the Show, which is with me and Alan. So we talk politics and just all that good stuff. We try to make it fun and not actually take it too serious because, it's not our job to take it serious. And then, of course, you can find me on the Inside the Horseshoe podcast channel, talking all kinds of football. So thank you very much for watching. For Aaron, Nikki, Sean, Malcolm, and myself, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. I forgot I got to play the outro, so we're going to find the outro really, really quick. It's not the outro. That's my cat.
That's
Here
a
it
cat.
is. That is my cat. It is much larger now. So here we go. Found it. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week.